what if today was the last day of your life? Would you truly be proud of how you're spending it? Most people drift through life like ships lost at sea, gently pushed along by currents they never chose, arriving at harbors they never intended. But a life lived by accident will always end in regret. I know, because I almost lived mine that way. I vividly remember the morning that changed everything. I found myself walking through a quiet cemetery just as dawn began to break. Rows of gravestones stretched endlessly, each one a quiet testament to someone who had come before me. And there, amidst all that silence, sat an elderly man, alone at a single grave. Something about the scene stopped me cold. His slumped shoulders told a story words never could. The heavy burden of things left unsaid, dreams left unfulfilled, intentions never acted upon. Standing there, my heartbeat quickened. I asked myself, how many people here were like that lost ship, drifting aimlessly through their days, carried to a final resting place by a life they never fully lived? More importantly, was I becoming one of them? That quiet moment was my wake-up call, the urgent whisper that life doesn't wait for us to find our courage. It doesn't pause until we're ready. It moves forward with or without us, a river whose currents never cease. But here's the truth we rarely acknowledge. While we can't control the current, we always control the direction of our sails. That's the power of intention. Your inner compass, the only force strong enough to steer you purposefully through life's endless tides. So let me ask you again. If your story ended tomorrow, would you be satisfied with where you've sailed? Or is there a quiet voice inside right now, urging you to wake up, set your course, and finally steer your life towards something meaningful? Because that voice isn't random, it's intention calling you home, and it's waiting patiently for you to listen. Intention isn't just a vague wish or a hopeful thought. It's the compass you carry within you, pointing unwaveringly toward your true north. But here's the tricky part. It's easy to follow that compass when the seas are calm. Real courage is trusting it even when storms threaten to throw you off course. Let me tell you about Susan, a photographer who ventured deep into Ethiopia to capture portraits of the Surma tribe. She was determined, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't capture the image she envisioned. Frustrated and exhausted, she finally lowered her camera. And in that vulnerable moment of surrender, she did something powerful. She stopped looking through the lens and simply looked with her heart. Susan finally saw the young boy she'd been photographing, not as a subject, but as a human longing simply to be seen. That moment of pure intention, of setting aside her agenda and truly connecting, allowed her to capture a portrait that spoke more powerfully than words ever could. Her photograph resonated deeply, not because of technique, but because of intention. Susan discovered that true artistry and true fulfillment emerges only when your actions align fully with your inner compass. You see, science tells us that intention shapes our reality. Neuroscientists explain this through something called the reticular activating system, the brain's spotlight, filtering your entire reality based on your intentions and beliefs. What you focus on is what you see, what you seek is what you'll find. It's not magic, it's biology. Your mind literally reshapes itself according to the course you've set. Your intention is more powerful than circumstance because it changes how you perceive every possibility. Right now, you're standing at a crossroads. One path feels safe and familiar, the way you've always traveled. The other promises uncertainty, challenge, and growth, the voyage that scares you. And deep down, you already know which direction your compass points toward. Intention doesn't promise easy sailing. It promises that every step, even the painful ones, will be meaningful. It promises clarity in moments of confusion, courage amid fear and purpose when the way forward feels impossible. So here's your choice. You can keep drifting, hoping somehow the currents will carry you somewhere fulfilling. Or you can trust your compass, set your sails, and choose to embrace the journey intentionally. Because when you finally do, you won't just be living, you'll be navigating toward a life you're truly proud to call your own. Everyone's life has storms, moments that come crashing down unexpectedly, testing the depth of our intentions. It's easy to steer your ship when skies are clear, when the waters gently carry you forward. But your true commitment to intention is never revealed in calm seas. It's discovered when the waves rise violently, and all you see ahead is darkness. Brad Johnson learned this lesson in ways few of us ever will. One ordinary afternoon, Brad was riding his motorcycle when everything changed in an instant. A drunk driver struck him, leaving Brad broken and barely clinging to life. Weeks passed with Brad hovering between life and death, and when he finally woke up, pain consumed him. Doctors filled his ears with words like unlikely recovery, and Brad sank into despair so deep he wished he'd never opened his eyes again. His compass felt broken, his intention shattered. At Brad's lowest moment, his daughter took his hand, leaned close, and spoke words that forever changed his trajectory. "Dad, give me 8 weeks, just 8 weeks." She wasn't asking for miracles, just a promise. One small intention Brad could cling to, something tangible in the storm. Brad chose to honor that simple intention, one painful step at a time. His recovery was slow, every movement agonizing, but he kept going, one day, one moment, one decision at a time. Each tiny victory reignited his inner compass, illuminating the direction forward through the storm. But life wasn't done testing him. Just months later, a devastating wildfire swept through his town, destroying Brad's home and forcing him to flee for his life. Trapped in traffic, flames inches from his car, Brad faced the fire once again. But something was different this time. His compass remained steady. He realized the flames might take his possessions, but not his purpose. They could destroy his past, but never his intention. Brad survived, emerging from the ashes stronger, clearer, and utterly determined to live intentionally every single day. You see, storms don't come to punish you. They come to ask who you truly are. Like Brad, your darkest moments aren't random. They're defining. They strip away what you thought mattered and reveal what actually does. When everything is burning around you, the power of intention is your compass, guiding you through the chaos, reminding you who you are, why you're here, and where you must go next. Life's storms may shake you, challenge you, test every belief you hold dear, but remember, a skilled sailor was never made in calm waters. The fiercest waves, the hardest winds, these are your greatest teachers. And if your compass, your intention, is set clearly, you won't just weather the storm, you'll emerge stronger because of it. So when your storm comes, and it will, ask yourself this: will you abandon your intention at the first signs of turbulence, or will you grip it tighter, steer bravely into the winds, and allow the storm to transform you into who you're meant to be? Real clarity rarely arrives through loud declarations or dramatic breakthroughs. Instead, it's the quiet voice you finally hear clearly when all distractions fall away. It's the gentle whisper in your darkest moments, the truth that becomes undeniable when you're finally ready to listen. Carrie Lee Dillard found her moment of clarity standing alone on a distant beach, the waves endlessly rushing toward her feet. She'd come to escape the pressure of an important decision she was avoiding, terrified of choosing the wrong path, of failing, of uncertainty itself. But as she stared at the horizon, a stranger approached her, someone she'd never met, someone she'd never see again. He simply looked at her and quietly said, "Don't wait too long. Life never asks for your permission to pass you by." In that ordinary yet profound moment, everything shifted for Carrie. She finally understood the cost of indecision, the way hesitation itself silently chose a path she never intended to travel. Standing at that shore, Carrie realized that waiting for clarity, waiting for certainty, was the surest way to miss life entirely. Carrie's quiet epiphany wasn't loud or dramatic, but it was powerful enough to awaken her from her slumber. The stranger's simple words reminded her, and perhaps remind you, that the voice of intention doesn't shout, it whispers, and it will patiently whisper again and again, waiting for the moment when you're finally quiet enough, brave enough, ready enough to hear it clearly. We all experience these moments, crossroads moments, when suddenly the fog lifts and two paths stretch clearly ahead. One is familiar and safe, lined with comfort but filled with silent regret. The other path is uncertain, challenging and scary, but it promises meaning and fulfillment. The second path is the one your inner compass has been quietly urging you toward all along. Clarity doesn't remove fear, it simply reveals the truth clearly enough that fear can no longer control you. Maybe you're standing at your own shore right now. Maybe the waves of uncertainty and doubt keep pulling you under, making it impossible to hear clearly. But know this: your clarity is closer than you realize. It's in the quiet moments when you dare to pause long enough to hear your intention whisper, "This is who you truly are. This is what you truly want." So lean in and listen carefully, because your moment of clarity is coming, And when it does, don't let it pass you by. Don't let fear or doubt or indecision drown out that quiet voice within. Instead, trust the clarity that comes when you finally align your life with your intention, when you finally allow your compass to guide you, because in that moment everything changes. Not because the path ahead is easy, but because for the first time you know exactly why it's worth the journey. Transformation isn't something that happens to you. It's a choice you make intentionally every single day. It doesn't arrive packaged in comfort or certainty. More often, it comes wrapped in struggle, uncertainty, and the pain of leaving behind what you've always known. But hidden within that discomfort lies your greatest opportunity, the choice to intentionally redirect your life, to steer boldly toward a new horizon. Danielle Hayden faced this kind of transformation at the worst possible moment. It was late at night when the phone rang, tearing apart the silence. Her stepfather, someone who had shaped her life profoundly, had suddenly passed away. In that instant, regret filled Danielle's heart, overwhelming her with painful clarity about all the words she had never said, all the gratitude she had kept hidden. The depth of loss was unbearable, but even worse was the realization that time never waits for courage. Her intention had always been to express her love, but she'd let hesitation hold her back. In the midst of her grief, Danielle stood at a crossroads. She could remain stuck, forever trapped by regret and sorrow, or she could use her pain as fuel. She chose transformation. Danielle made a simple yet powerful promise. No important words would ever again remain unspoken. She began living deliberately, sharing gratitude, expressing love, and speaking openly, even when it was difficult, even when it scared her. Her greatest tragedy had become her greatest teacher, awakening an intention within her to never again waste another precious moment. We often think transformation means massive leaps, drastic changes that alter our lives overnight. But the truth is quieter, more subtle, yet infinitely powerful. True transformation emerges from countless small, deliberate choices made with unwavering intention. Science supports this idea through the principle of neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reshape itself through repeated focus. Each intentional decision you make, no matter how small, carves new pathways in your mind, gradually changing who you are and who you're capable of becoming. This isn't motivation, it's biology. When you repeatedly choose courage over comfort, truth over silence, action over hesitation, you're literally rewiring your brain to become someone new, someone stronger, someone who no longer drifts but intentionally sails forward, even through storms. Right now, consider your own crossroads. Maybe your moment isn't as dramatic as Danielle's. Perhaps it's quieter, less obvious, yet equally powerful. Every moment carries the potential for transformation. Every decision offers a chance to choose intention over habit. Even the tiniest course correction, a 1-degree adjustment, can dramatically alter your destination over time. Think of a ship crossing the ocean. Shifting course by a single degree may seem insignificant at first, but it ultimately changes the harbor where it arrives. Transformation is the same. It begins subtly, in quiet choices made again and again. It's the decision to speak when silence feels safer, to act when hesitation feels comfortable, to intentionally steer toward the life you truly desire rather than drifting through the one you've always known. Danielle chose to transform her greatest pain into her greatest purpose. And now it's your turn. The power of intention awaits you, not as some distant ideal, but as a decision you can make today, right now, and every moment moving forward. Choose intentionally and you will transform, not through luck or chance, but through deliberate, courageous action. We often underestimate the impact of small actions, convinced meaningful change only happens through giant leaps. But the truth is, lasting transformation rarely arrives dramatically. It's built gradually, through countless small steps guided by unwavering intention. Ed Latimore understood this deeply. Born into poverty and surrounded by violence, Ed's future seemed already decided. Everything around him suggested he'd follow the path laid out by circumstance, predictable, limited, and bleak. Yet deep within, Ed burned an intention to become something different, something greater than what fate appeared to dictate. He knew it wouldn't happen overnight, but he committed to daily action, small yet intentional decisions that gradually reshaped his entire life. Each morning he chose to rise early. Each day he chose to read a little more, learn a little more, push a little harder. Each small action seemed insignificant at first, just tiny adjustments against the vastness of his circumstances. But day after day, choice after choice, those small decisions compounded dramatically. Ed transformed himself from a hopeless young man into a professional boxer, a successful author, and an influential speaker. Ed's journey illustrates a powerful truth. Intention isn't about dramatic overnight success. It's about quietly yet relentlessly guiding your life through consistent daily choices. Scientists call this the compound effect, the profound impact of tiny actions repeated over time. Improve just 1% each day, and after a year, you'll be nearly 40 times better than where you started. It's not a trick, it's math. Your small, intentional choices have monumental power, quietly reshaping your future one moment at a time. So ask yourself now, what's one small action you can take today that aligns clearly with your intention, your true north? Don't dismiss its power because it seems minor. Remember the compounding principle. Small choices made intentionally add up to monumental transformation. Like Ed, your daily habits, no matter how minor they seem, are quietly steering your ship toward an extraordinary destination. Imagine you're sailing across the ocean. Each small, intentional adjustment to your course seems insignificant, but over days, months, and years, those tiny corrections determine precisely where you'll arrive. The same principle applies to your life. Each intentional decision, no matter how seemingly small, determines your ultimate destination, quietly guiding you toward who you're meant to become. Intention isn't about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It's about understanding that your life transforms through small actions consistently repeated. Your intention sets the direction. Your daily choices move you forward. Commit fully to those quiet, intentional decisions, and you'll soon discover their immense power. Because in the end, your life isn't written by dramatic leaps, it's shaped by subtle, intentional steps taken every single day. Those steps are yours to choose. Take them wisely, courageously, intentionally, and watch them lead you to places you once only imagined.